Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let's take a look at the characteristic and the function of legislative bodies presented by Group 2.
Hello everybody, my name is NOOR BINTI KHAIRUDDIN and my metric number is 057350. As for the introduction, law is defined as the principles and regulations established in a community by some authority and applicable to its people, whether in the form of legislation or custom policies recognized and enforced by judicial decision. Parliament makes the law, the executive executes and administers the law, and the court interprets the law. This separation of power keeps a strong central government from being too powerful because too much power could lead to abuses of power. Legislation refers to law enacted by a body constituted for this purpose. In Malaysia, laws are legislated by Parliament at federal level and by the various state legislative assembly at the state level. Parliament and state legislature are not supreme because they have to enact laws subject to the provisions set out in the federal and state constitutions. Therefore, legislature as a source of law has become more important than case law or precedents. It is being used as a means of repealing, amending, enacting, or codifying the law.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is SYIFAA binti Muhammad AZLAN. My metric number is 058542, and today I'm going to further elaborate on the characteristic of YDPA. So based on Article 44 of the Federal Constitution, he is one of the legislative authority of the Federation. This position is formally elected for 5 years term and it rotates among the 9 rulers of Malaysia. It is only 9 out of 13 states in Malaysia that practice hereditary monarchy. The power that he holds are divided into 2 parts, which is first discretionary power, meaning that every decision that he makes is based on his own credibility and his own opinion. While for the second type of power is when he made a decision, he made it with the opinion of others, like prime ministers and so on. So this position is appointed only by the Conference of Rulers, and it follows the cycle of 9 rulers as I mentioned earlier. And this cycle is based on seniority of each state, which means it starts with the ruler of Negeri Sembilan, then move on to Selangor, and then Perlis, Terengganu, Kedah, Kelantan, Pahang, Johor, and Perak. Even though a ruler can be a YDPA, but a ruler could also be disqualified from being one. A ruler will be deemed not fit if he is a minor, if he doesn't have any desire to be one, or the ruler is not chosen by the Conference of Rulers as to specific reasons, e.g., he is insane or he is recorded as someone who does not have a good personality and is unjust. YDPA could resign if he wishes to do so, and subsequently could be removed based on unanimity of the Conference of Rulers. Also, could he be removed if he is found liable of an offence and be imprisoned for more than a day. Furthermore, based on Article 45, Clause 1, Clause AA, he is the one who appoints 2 members of the Federal Territory of Kuala Lumpur and 1 members from both Federal Territory of Labuan and Putrajaya on the advice of Prime Minister for the Senate. Then, based on Article 45, Clause 1, Clause B, he is also the one who appoints another 40 members of the Senate on the advice of Prime Minister.
Assalamualaikum, my name is SYAZWEENA binti SAZALI and my menstrual number is 058782, and now I'm going to present about the Senate Dewan Negara. Okay, so for the first one, according to Article 45 1A, 26 members elected by the State Legislative Assembly to represent 13 states, and each state represented consists of 2 members. And the second one, based on Article 45 1B, 44 members appointed by His Majesty the Yang di-Pertuan Agong on the advice of the Prime Minister, and 1 member each from the Federal Territory of Labuan and Putrajaya, and 2 members from Federal Territory of Kuala Lumpur. Further, for the next article, which is Article 45.3, the term of office of a member of the Senate shall be 3 years and not be affected by a dissolution of Parliament. And the last point is, in order to be eligible as a member, a person must be a Malaysian citizen, be not less than 30 years old, be sound of mind, not be an undischarged bankrupt, and the last one don't have any criminal record. Okay, so that's all for the Senate Dewan Negara, and now I'm going to pass to the next representative.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aziemah binti Rosle and my matric number is 058471. Okay, now for the characteristic of House of Representative, or more known as Dewan Rakyat. The first one is, each member of the House of Representative holds office for 5 years, and general elections are reheld once in 5 years. Okay, so right now we have 2 more years for the new election, that is on 2023. Okay, for the second one, the qualification of members of the House of Representative, he must be a Malaysian citizen that is not less than 21 years old. Means it cannot be a person of 20 years or 19 years or below than that age. Okay. Next, he must have common sense. Means an insane person is not eligible. Okay. Next, he must not be a bankrupt person, even though he has been discharged. Next, he must not have a criminal record. Okay. For the third characteristic, a member may not hold office in both the House of Representatives and the Senate at the same time. Means they cannot have 2 positions. They only either in the representative of House or Senate. They must choose one of it, not both. Okay, for the last characteristic, there are 3 parties in Dewan Rakyat, which are Chairman of the Council, Chief Whip, and Opposition Leader. Chief Whip is a leader of political parties. For example, for Barisan Nasional, they have Datuk Ahmad Zahid Hamidi. In Article 46, there is provision provided in the Federal Constitution about the composition or component of the Dewan Rakyat. According to Clause 1 from the Article 46, it has stated that the House of Representatives shall consist of 222 elected members, whereas in Clause 2, it has stated that there shall be 209 members from the state in Malaysia as follows: 26 members from Johor, 50 members from Kedah, 40 members from Kelantan, 6 members from Melaka, 8 members from Negeri Sembilan, 40 members from Pahang, 30 members from Penang, 24 members from Perak, 3 members from Perlis, 25 members from Sabah, 31 members from Sarawak, 22 members from Selangor, and 8 members from Terengganu. How about the other 30 members? The other 30 members are from Federal Territories of Kuala Lumpur, Labuan and Putrajaya. It consists of 11 members from Federal Territory of Kuala Lumpur, 1 members from Federal Territory of Labuan, and the other 1 member are from Federal Territory of Putrajaya. Okay. Before holding any seat in the Parliament, each member must be sworn in before the Speaker of the Dewan Rakyat. Such members shall swear or promise that they will faithfully carry out their duties as member of the houses to the best of their ability, and be loyal to Malaysia and to abide by, uphold and defend the Constitution.
Next, we move on to the functions of legislative. The first function of legislative is to make or enact law. The law will be enacted through bills set forth by the Dewan Negara or Dewan Rakyat. Based on the 9th schedule of the Federal Constitution, the Constitution has prescribed the authorities to enact the laws. The Federation handles the federal list and the state list will be handled by the State Legislative Assembly. Meanwhile, the concurrent list allows Parliament and the State Legislative Assembly to make laws for the same matters, and so long as they are not in conflict with each other, they can exist and operate together. However, if there is a conflict, then federal laws would prevail. Next, we Let's move on to the bicameral legislature in Malaysia. A bicameral system is a type of government in which the legislature is divided into two houses. In Malaysia, our parliament is divided into two houses. The first one is the upper house, also known as Dewan Negara, and the next one is the lower house, which also known as Dewan Rakyat. For your information, Dewan Negara is made up of 70 senators, 26 of whom are elected by the state legislative assemblies, with 2 senators from each state, and the remaining 44 is appointed by the YDPA or the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, 4 of whom are appointed to present the federal territories. Meanwhile, the lower house or Dewan Rakyat is made up of members elected during the Malaysian general election and drawn by the Malaysian Election Commission. And lastly, it has been argued that a bicameral system is preferable to avoid hasty and harsh legislation, limit democracy, and to ensure deliberation.
Now I'm going to explain further about the advantage. Okay, so for the first point is equal representation, where it ensures that the people in a federal state are represented in an equal and adequate manner. And the second one is bicameral legislature make it possible for better laws to be made in the country, since bills are somewhat properly debated in the bicameral legislature. Next, it provides a system of checks and balances for the government. And the next one is, by delaying bills in the two chambers, a bicameral legislature allows public opinion to be properly expressed on the issues at hand before bills are passed. For the next advantage, the second chamber reduces the workload of the upper house, and plus it limits the abuse of power, where it put limits in place to prevent abuse of power. However, no group is permitted to freely run through the government in order to produce policies that benefit only a few. For the last point of the advantage is it creates a better system of legislation, because when one group of people sets laws for everyone, the minority rules the majority. So that is how it goes for the advantage. And now I'm going to pass to the next representative.
So next, I'm Muhammad Azim bin Muhammad Najib. My metric number 057317. So I will present about the legislative process. Firstly, Malaysia is a country that adopted bicameral system. In the parliament, there are 3 components, which is YDPA and 2 houses, consists of Dewan Negara and Dewan Rakyat. The bill must be passed by both Dewan and be assented by the YDPA. A bill in Malaysia might come from anybody, from citizen, from the legislative or executive. Second, according to Article 67 of the Federal Constitution, it stated about makes the money bill an exception, and Dewan Rakyat and a minister are required to introduce money bill. One of the houses need to debate and discuss the proposal for a second time before it's sent to other house. The bill must go several reading procedure before getting passed by the parliament. Third, bill concerning manners of tax or expenditure, money or supply bills must originate in Dewan Rakyat with two main stage in the progress. The first stage is namely as pre-parliamentary. In this stage, the proposal, consultation and drafting stage. The next stage is parliamentary stage. At this stage, procedure is set out in Chapter 5, Part IV of the Federal Constitution and in the standing orders of both Dewan. So next, there are three types of bills, namely, firstly, public bill. Public bill is bill on matters of general public interest, such as national defense, public order, and taxation. Second, private bill. Private bill is a bill which deal with matters of local or private concern. Third, hybrid bill. Hybrid bill is a bill concerning matters of public interest, which is also affected adversely their interests of some private bodies or person. Then, in each Dewan, there are 4 stages the bill must go through. First reading. This stage, normally the minister formally introduce the bill in the Dewan Rakyat by having its short title read. No debate allowed in this stage. Second stage is second reading. On this stage, all the members of parliament will take their part on debate about the general principle of the bill. The minister will give the thorough detail about the bill, so all the members of parliament can argue about the general principle. Then it followed by a vote from all the members of parliament. Third stage is committee stage. This stage will be detailed examination of the bill and consideration of amendment, followed by a report on the bill to the Dewan. Therefore, the members of parliament will group themselves into several committees to discuss about the bill in detail. They cannot argue about the general principle because it been debated on the second reading. And the fourth stage is third reading. Again, all the members of parliament will go on further debate on the general principle of the bill. Then, they will be vote on it. If there is no objection, the bill will be passed to Dewan Negara and undergo the 4th stage again there. And lastly, after completing this stage, the bill will go through another procedure. First is Dewan Negara. At Dewan Negara, the bill will undergo all the 4 stages like at Dewan Rakyat. Next, if the Senate don't have any complaint about the bill, it will go to the next stage. Second, Royal Assent. The YDPA affix the public seal within 30 days of the presentation. Then, the bill will become an act. And lastly, publication. The act comes into force. Stage of processing bills in Malaysia. The first stage is first reading. Second stage is second reading. Next, committee stage. And then third reading. After done at third reading, they will go to Dewan Negara and then Royal Assent. Then the bills become an act. And lastly, the publication of the bill. So, that's all from me.
The Parliament also amend the law. The amendment happens in 4 ways. First way, the present simple majority. According to Article 159 Clause 1 and Clause 4, read together with Article 62 Clause 3 of the Federal Constitution, a bill to amend the regulation can be approved by a simple majority of board members present. For example, if only 30 members of the House of Representatives are present at that time, the draft amendment bill would require only 26 votes to support it. As for the second way, a majority of 2/3 2 and 2 board members. the most frequent method used to amend law. According to Article 159 Clause 3 of the Federal Constitution, a bill of the amendment must receive the support of at least two-thirds members of the board on the second and the third readings. For instance, a draft amendment to the Constitution need the support of at least 148 members of the House of Representatives in the second and third readings. After the approval by the Parliament, the same bill will go through the same process. This time, 47 senators must support this bill on second and third reading in the Senate. Third way, a majority of two-thirds, 2 and 2 board members of the Parliament and the assent of the Council of Rulers. This particular way is for the Parliament if they want to amend matters affecting sovereignty, dignity, and the position of the Conference of the Rulers or any of the Malay rulers, based on Article 159 Clause 5. It has the same procedure as the second way, but it needs the assent of not only the YDPA but the Conference of the Rulers as a whole. Without the assent, the bill will not be amended. As for the last and fourth way, a majority of two-thirds membership of both chambers of Parliament and the assent of the President of the state of Sabah and Sarawak. As for this one, it relating to the matters of Sabah and Sarawak. Both states' position are being protected under the Federal Constitution, and the amendment of such matters relating of both states are explained on a separate article, which is Article 161E Clause 2. The bill should be approved by the President of Sabah or Sarawak.
As for the last function of legislative body, it is to represent the people. They represent people in the government as well as numerous interests of variety groups as they are elected by the people. According to Article 120 Clause A, it has stated that the whole of a state shall form a single constituency and each elector shall have as many votes at any election to the Senate as there are seats to be filled in their election. So, after they got this power and eligible to hold the position, they will act as eyes, ears and voice of the people. Next, they will examine and approve the government's policies as well as its expenses and new taxes. By virtue of Article 99 Clause 1, it has stated that the YDPA in respect of every financial year caused to be laid before the House of Representatives a statement of the estimated receipts and expenditure of the Federation for that year, and unless the Parliament in respect of any year otherwise provides that statement shall be so laid before the commencement of the year. For instance, every year before the government can publish belanjawan negara in detail to Malaysians, the subject will be brought before the Parliament. So here, usually the process of passing the belanjawan negara by the Parliament will be held around October month before enter a new year, and belanjawan negara will be pronounced to the public through television or any kind of platform such as newspaper, internet and so on early in the new year. Usually it will be implemented on January.
As for the conclusion, Malaysia practices parliamentary democracy with constitutional monarchy and His Royal Highness as the paramount ruler. The Federal Constitution was legislated with the setting up of conditions for this system to exist. One of the conditions of parliamentary democracy is the division of administrative power into three main parts, which is legislative, judiciary, and executive. The main role of the national administrative machinery is to ensure the demands of the people are conveyed by their representative in the parliament. If the representative bodies fail to function, many laws, programs, and government policies will not be implemented.
That's all from us. Thank you.